Thank you, Buta. I always was the first one to say that, you know, kind of screw tier list and kind of play whatever you want. If you can clear content, what's the problem? Play whatever you want, right? Which I still think it's true. But tier list can be useful, but usually the tier list that I see around, I don't like too much, not because I disrespect what the other people think or the work they put into it, absolutely not, but because they are very generalistic tier lists that pretty much only take into consideration like who's the best at doing damage, right? Like, yeah, tier lists are meant to be as a guideline, but what I want to do here, it's a little bit different than a simple list of things. I will basically divide the roster in classes, right? I will divide the roster in classes, and each classes will have a bunch of characters in it. Some characters will be in multiple classes, and we are going to do pretty much a tier list for each class, because pretty much there are various different types of characters in these games, and it's true, you need to do damage to win in the end, but doesn't mean that other characters cannot be good at the other stuff, right? So especially if you are a new player, what I wanted to do is kind of show why some other characters, like what is the identity of these characters, what do they do, why you should care about something and not about the other thing, what's more of your liking and what's not, what are the pros and cons of all these characters pretty much. And so I try to do that pretty much. For example, it's really easy to say, you know, oh my god, Squall is like god, Super Saiyan god tier, whatever, right? But I mean, he may be god tier at DPSing, but he's not like god tier at, I don't know, tanking, of course, right? So I'm gonna divide things into categories pretty much, and doing pretty much a smaller tier list for all the categories. So let me put up my I'm gonna put up, if everything works. Alright, these are the character classes that I came up with. I gave them fancy names because why not? And some of them are more generalistic than others, some of them are very specific to some things, some of them are just are not really even something that you can put on a tier list, but are still a strong, I guess they give a strong identity to that character. So we have Slayers. So pretty much Slayers are characters that can do high bravery or high HP damage or both, right? For example, I said here Lightning. So Lightning can do, for example, can shave a lot of bravery with a skill, and can reach high bravery and dump bravery with another skill. So she kind of fits that role. This is a very vague category. This is the most like generalistic category, but I kept that way because you kinda have to divide it then by subcategories, and it becomes really too much. So I wanted to generalize a little bit here, while I will go into the specifics for each character on each character's pages, I guess. Because of course on the Slayers you have to divide them by who's physical, who's magic, and who does the best brave shave, and who does the best HP damage, who does burst, who does better in longer fights, all of that, right? So this is a very generalistic category. For example, Onion Knight does super well at shaving and is good on longer fights, and you go for, I don't know, with Lightning, she does much more damage early, but she's also lasts less in a fight, right? So there is a lot of stuff to take into consideration here. But moving on, we have Elementalist. Elementalist characters with abilities that play around a specific elemental types. For example, Vincent, for example, Alice, stuff like this. This is a very specific type of a category here. I didn't want to put them like simply into debuffing or other categories because they kind of have a specific playstyles that allows you to use these elements in a certain way or avoid enemy elements in a certain way. So they are kind of a thing of their own, of its own, I guess. Moving on, we have Wardens, which is the category that we are going to talk about today, which are characters with buffs and mechanics that protect your party in some shape or form. This is pretty vague, but yeah, for example, Aerith, characters that are basically defensive supports. Then next we have Enchanters, characters with buffs and mechanics that increase the damage or yeah, overall the offensive, I guess, capability of your party. For example, Sads. Disruptors, characters that can inflict negative states on the enemy. Example, Faris. So debuffers, pretty much. Vanguards, characters with mechanics to protect allies and redirect / avoid damage. Example, Zack. Pretty straightforward. Then Destroyers, character with possibility to hit multiple enemy at the same times. This is kinda like pretty vague as well, but example, Yang. We are not talking about that today anyway. And then maybe the most peculiar one would be the Specialists, which are characters with unique mechanics that kinda are peculiar to them. For example, the Freed Solid of Setzer, for example, the turn manipulation of Quistis and stuff like that. So, hope everything is clear. These are pretty much the broad classes that I came up with. Remy's best remover, okay. Let me know what you think about it. Moving on, if I can find the right picture here. Alright, so what are we going to do with each one of these category? I believe it should be Disruptors with no first T. I probably spelled it wrong. Could be. Now, these character classes, we will divide each one of these categories into, like we said, like into basically 4 tiers. So, bronze characters that are right now not performing too well. Silver characters that are now usable but nothing exceptional. Gold characters that are now performing well. And diamond are characters that are pretty much in a league of its own. We will apply these tiers to the various characters for each class, and keep in mind that these lists are, just a general guideline and just my thoughts pretty much on stuff, so you can absolutely disagree with everything that I say. And with that said, I think we can move on to our class that we are going to discuss today, which are the Wardens. So I divided them into pure and hybrid, because some characters, like we said, like fits multiple categories. There are some others that you could actually put in here, but I decided not to because I think they fit maybe some other categories better. Characters with synergy would not be counted on this tier list. You mean specific synergies for an event? No, it is just very broad. Oh yeah, also I almost forgot to mention. Of course, this category, like this tier list, take into considerations both Awoken and level 50 characters. There is pretty much a very big disparity in power between an Awoken character and just a level 50 character. But if we would do a tier list for just Awoken characters, then it would be like 10 characters, right? That's not very exciting. What I wanted to do, like I said before, is more go deep into each character, like what's their identity and why you could like it or not. So even if it's 50-50, I wanted to, integrate it anyway. I mean, I need a PowerPoint slideshow. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is next level production. But yeah, I'm not counting synergy. This is just generalistic. Okay. So I divided all of these into pure wardens and kind of hybrid wardens. So we have Penelo, Irit, Hope, Yuna, Ishtola, or Yashtola, however you want to call her, Eiko and Selphie, while for hybrid I put on Ram, Warrior of Light, and Lenna. Where's Lily's at? Yeah, exactly. Like I said, there are other characters that you could put here pretty much, but I decided that they could fit other categories better. In case of Lilith can give Max Brave and all of that stuff, but I felt like ultimately she is designed more as an offensive character, even if she has bravery, bravery gain for the party and all of that. So I kinda I want to keep her for another category. Exactly. Yeah, this Raptor, exactly. But like I said, yeah, you could put like, I don't know, like Maria as elements of Warden is there, but it's just like a small heal and that's pretty much it. Like, that's not what the goal of that character is, at least not right now in this state. So these are the characters that we are going to discuss. So if everything is alright, we are gonna move on to the first one, which is Penelo. Beep, beep. Okay, so Penelo, you guys know that I like Penelo in this game, right? I like her a lot, but we have to keep consideration of everything, and looking at the pro and the cons, we can see why I came up with this verdict. So for the pros, she has a good AoE speed buff, which is actually pretty cool. Even if you use her today, I would say that like that's probably the biggest thing about Penelo. I think the speed buff is pretty good. You can feel it on the battlefield, but she has low action delay on both her skills, which can be good. High bravery region over time. I think that as of right now, she actually has the highest heal over time, because I think her bravery region is 100% of the initial brave, and I'm not sure, but I don't think anybody else can match that in terms of region over time. So that's pretty good, and a good AoE heal over time, which is not really AoE, but you applied it to everyone. I still feel my buffs. I didn't know Penelo was a character. Come on, man. Oh, that's rude. Now, those are all pretty good, pros, but the cons are kinda very big too. So she has very low damage, and I mean like very low damage. And I mean, doing low damage is not something that is necessarily bad for a Warden character like this, because that's not the goal of the character. But this game still revolves around dealing damage in some shape or form. You still need to at least break an enemy or stuff like that. If you do 0 damage, you're not gonna have a good time, unless you have crazy DPS and speed on the other characters, right? So she has very low damage. I think she's maybe the lowest damage character in the game. I'm not sure, but at least in my roster, she's one. I'm pretty sure she's the one that deals the least amount of damage. So she's not as effective on longer fights, and this is like, it's not that she's bad, like completely bad on longer fights, but she has some limitations because she doesn't have a lot of skill uses, first of all, and her buffs do not last as much. I believe it's like 4 turns for the speed and like 3 turns for the regen, so it's not like that it's not that big. So you have to manage her very correctly in a longer fight, and it's not really really easy. Let me read here. I don't know how potent it is, but Penelo is one of the few characters who has enhanced break. It might shine coupled with Bahamut, that's true. You have hope. You're doing this, trying to incorporate Bash 4 Awakenings because it's right around the corner, otherwise we get outdated too quickly. No, I didn't incorporate them because once I have the base done, I can switch them around if I want to do one of these, if I want to update on this thing. But no, for now it's very much focused on what we have right now. We'll see. I don't know if you even like this type of stream or not, so it's pretty much a test for me. But yeah, good, you know, good observation there. Now, yeah, the fact is that you can manage her in a longer fight, but she is crippled by the fact that her bravery is so low, like her bravery damage is so low that the only way, like Buzel said, the only real way for her to gain a decent amount of bravery is with her bravery regen, with enhanced skill and enhanced break passives, which are kind of cool because basically she gains more more bravery on allies breaking an enemy or allies killing an enemy. She gains a bunch of bravery that way. It's a kind of cool, it's a cool passive, but it's not enough to make up for the very low damage on her bravery attack. Plus, she takes 3 or 4 buff slots. She takes 4 on herself and 3 on the others, I believe. That's because she gains an attack 20% on herself when she uses Great Haste. But it's still 3 buff slot for what you want to do, which may be good for some composition, but not so good for others. Right now, she's a little bit better because we have 6. Recently, we have 6 slots, right? We had the 6 slots, but back when we had 5, it was almost impossible, especially versus the. Towards the end of the chapters, chapter 10, chapter 11. There were a lot of characters released that started to self-buffs and, you know, put other buffs. Plus we had the awakenings, the EX weapons and all of that. So a lot of buffs going around. And it was pretty much impossible to bring her in any composition. In fact, on stream, if you remember, I wanted to play Penelo a bunch of times on our swag runs and all of that. And even in a swag run, like, I felt so bad about bringing her because, like, the other player maybe was bringing, I don't know, Cloud or Terra or anybody else, and you would basically replace all of their buffs. So it's absolutely atrocious that way. Right now it's a little bit better because we have 6 buffs though. So remember the good time where you destroyed my buffs? Yeah, with Galuf. Yeah, for example. Yeah, it's that's actually one of the biggest cons that I have for this character. But like I said, got a little bit better right now. The attack buff is for the allies as well. Alright, so it's then it's 4 slot for everyone maybe. Alright. Unable to gain leads after using her skills. This is pretty much linked to the fact that she does low bravery damage. So basically she's a character that you start the fight, you use Great Haste, maybe you use the regen, and that's it. The next turn you have nothing to do to gain a lead or to help your team in any meaningful way. Maybe with her awakening she will, I think with her awakening she will be much better, but right now, like, you are pretty much a sitting duck doing nothing, and that's pretty bad overall. And like we said, the regen duration is not as good. It's good for shorter fights, but not good for longer fights. So, to the surprise of no one, Penelo's verdict for me it's bronze, but I still love her. So I hope you do. I hope you love her too, right? Yeah. Do you have questions about Penelo? Do you like her? Overshadowed, but definitely much better, I guess, with Awakening. Yeah. Increase the max usage of Great Taste by 2. Extend buffs. I forgot to mention that I want this to be also a discussion stream. So if you have questions or if you want to argue something, please feel free to do so. Increase the max usage of Great Taste by 2. Extend buffs granted by Great Taste by 3 turns. Raise party bravery based on max bravery turns. Bravery attack into bravery attack plus for 7 turns. Bravery attack plus raises party bravery based on max bravery. Yes. Air Awakening will help her a lot. I agree. That's pretty good. Hello, Kurana. What did you miss? You missed the whole intro on this thing. So feel free to go on the VODs tab, on the video tabs, and check the stream from the beginning. You still like Penelo? Alright. Her weapons troll me, so I don't like her. Okay. I'm not a fan on FF12. Alright, makes sense. I got trolled on the first touch ban. Alright, no one likes Penelo except me and Kate. Alright, and that's pretty much it, I think, for Penelo. She's, she's a pretty basic character. She was one of the original characters in the main, when the game was released, she was there. So those characters tend to be a little bit more simple in design than others. I'm not sure about battery numbers, but her Awakening gives some very needed longevity, yes. I think her battery, if you consider that it's a regen over time, it's actually already pretty good. I believe with the Awakening it will get even better. And yeah, the main thing about the Awakening is that with Bravery Plus and HP Plus, it helps her, like I said, filling up the space between you using abilities in a good way. And the added turn count to the regen and count on the ability itself will help her a lot in longevity, so that's pretty good. If I take screenshot in a special character on your Discord so we can keep track of them. Yeah, sure, I can share these slides if you want to. I can share them in Discord. No need to take screenshots. I have all saved up, don't worry. I saw everything important, let's discuss now. Okay, Kuran, what do you have? What do you want to discuss? He's making us a PowerPoint. Actually, really good. To be able to discuss and argue over how a character performs is really good in showing how different characters can be used even if they aren't in the meta. Yes. Yeah, like I said, this is also pretty much like I wanted to do this also for, even on my stream, when I stream, sometimes new players come up and ask a lot of different things. And I think kind of a presentation like this where you can see what's kind of the identity of a character can be especially good for those type of players, for the new players. But anyway, I think we said enough about Penelo. Of course, guys, I'm gonna reach to characters that I've only seen. I don't really use them, so I'm going on my impression or like on my interpretation of them. But that's going to be the characters where we are going to discuss the most, I guess. Moving on, we have Hope. So Hope, now he's a character that recently got an awakening, right? And I think his awakening is actually pretty damn good. And overall, as a character, he's pretty basic, but what he does, like he kind of fills a niche, and that niche, in that niche, it goes like he does super well, in my opinion. And so the pros are that he has great defensive buffs for both physical and magic damage. Now I don't remember the exact percentage, but I think it's like 60% reduction on physical and magic, something like that. It's like double. I know it's like double the amount of Selphie. So yeah, that's pretty crazy if you think about it. He has a great AoE bravery gain, maybe even too great. And he has a good HP plus and bravery plus commands as well that I think helps him out a lot, making his kit flow better and kinda making him kind of like with Penelo, making him useful outside of those 2 skills as well. So that's very important to him, I think. On the con side, we have a lot of bravery gains for the party-wide, but no max brave buffs to others, which means that basically, in my experience with Hope at least, you can basically, unless you have a max brave buff, you can reach max brave immediately, and a lot of brave goes to waste, and always being a full brave is not good because then you can't shave. So I think there are those type of problems with him, but feel free to discuss it. Let me read here. -1 because of Boomerang. Okay, Hope is a very good character. It would be better if he wouldn't be dependent on score on events. Yeah, that's another thing too. He can contribute to scores with battering ability. True. Selphie is the better Hope. we will get to that. Hope still shaves much more than Selphie. Hope can hit for additional chuck with his bravery plus. Yeah, exactly. I think his bravery plus. I don't know how hard he hits, honestly, but I'm pretty sure it's like 180% more potency on bravery plus. So at least it's a pretty good hit, right? And kind of like with Penelo, I felt like he takes 3 buffs. I believe he takes 3 buff slots, which is a little bit. It is a little bit. Can be a little bit too much depending on your composition. But that's not that big of a problem now that we have 6 buffs. But like I said, I think he's overall good. He's very defensive, like Kate Sylph says. That's why I feel like he's very niche overall. Like, you really want to use him on fights where he is needed, and I think he can shine there. But in other fights, or the majority of other fights, probably not, right? Probably you don't need him. So I put him in gold because I think he's an awoken character. He has the stats and potencies to do well pretty much in any fights right now, and borderline diamond rank in the right situations. But like Sylph said, he's very much focused on one thing and one thing only, pretty much. Yeah, if he was level 50, it would be silver rank for sure. He's really good at what he does in being super defensive support. The issue is defensive strats aren't too good. Yeah, that's a problem with the game, and that's true. But you know, if we take, like, that's true for super, you know, the EX stages and all of that. But if you take a wider look at the game as a whole, you can still do very good with Hope in a co-op and stuff like that. So, but yeah, he can be very niche on harder fights. I still think you can make it work, especially if he's synergy. I believe he is going to be synergy on Gilgamesh, which is going to be interesting. Maybe try him out and see how he does. It should be good, I hope. Alright. I think that's it for Hope. Do you agree or do you disagree? Do you have any things that you would like to say, or that are not in this slide, maybe? All right. Hope main, I 100% agree. All right, awesome. Good to know. Moving on, we have Aerith. So Aerith is silver. But that's mainly because she's level 50, because I think overall she's a cool character with a pretty unique identity to her as well. But yeah, like we said, level 60s are pretty much one step above. But let's not forget to dive deep into the characters and look at their identity as a whole. So, too bad I sold this entire kit through. Pros, decent AoE heal, today's standard with awakenings and stuff, it's nothing special, but it's not something it's not too bad. Like you can still do a decent AoE heal with her, just nothing incredible. The ability to revive is one of her stronger points, I guess. Can be useful at times. Not always, but at times, because the ability to revive is tied to your self buff as well. So you cannot keep it like you can keep it, but then you don't have the self buff. So it's a strong point for her, but it's always maybe a point that you need to manage carefully, I guess, to be effective. Decent AoE bravery gain, like with the heal, it's a pretty good AoE brave gain. Nothing spectacular for these standards, for today's standards, but still decent. I think you can still at least battery for like 3k, maybe 4k with strong attack buffs, something like that. So it's not, you know, it's still something. A good bravery plus attack that is very useful for both her kit and party wide, which allows her to be useful in longer fights pretty much. Is a recommendation: we could all give a note or rank to characters and see what the chat think. Yeah, sure. Feel free to do that, guys. Feel free to do that, guys. Revive would be more useful if it still didn't penalize the score. Yeah, that's everything tied with the score comes down to how fast you can execute the fight. So this class is definitely not so good for scores, right? Maybe with some exceptions, but yeah, that's true. She really helped me when I was just starting out, since I started around the time she came out. Nice. Just for niche harder mission, I died a lot for armored, yes. My rank for Irid, consider Ishtola EX, is around the corner, is silver. Alright. Now, the cons for Irid is that she requires setup, so it's not plug and play. You need your Prayer of the Setzer buff on yourself, which can be a pain sometimes to put on, because like we said, that's the same ability that gives you the revive. So if something goes wrong, you kind of want to keep the revive, but then you don't have the buff, so you have to set up your character to be effective. You need that buff because of the attack up and all the other stuff that it gives you. So it's something that you want to, I don't want to say that you want it up at all times, but mostly at all times. And she's not as effective with attack buff. That's because she has some attack scalings in her kit. I believe both the heal and the bravery gain, I may be wrong here, I'm going on memory here, are related to her attack. So that's another reason why you need an attack buff on her. Prayer of the Setzer gives you a decent attack buff, and that basically pumps up everything else that you do, right? Heal, bravery gain, and all of that. So even the Turks had trouble getting lol. So you kind of want an attack buff almost at all times with her to be really effective, or 100% effective. I couldn't think of anything else though for Irid. She doesn't have a list of like huge cons like Penelo, right? She's more free to play whatever she wants, and she's good to go. You just need this setup and this attack buff. So I think that's pretty much it, and that rounds up in a silver rank, I guess. I don't know how she's going to be with her awakening. I think she's going to be... 1 second, guys. Alright, sorry. I'm back. I'm back. I'm alive. Yeah, don't know what I was saying anymore. But yeah, that's irate for you. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Anything else that you would like to add about irate? Oh yeah, I was saying that I don't know what she's exactly she's going to be with her awakening, which should be coming up fairly soon. And I will awake her, so I'm curious about it. I think it will be decently good. You sent me infos on her awakening. Oh, let's see. Thanks. Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks. That's going to be useful. So, with her awakening, we have Healing Wind, the first skill, +1 use, lower action delay. Let me change song as well. Increased potency of Brave gain and HP restored by 30%, which is a total of 150% of the user attack. So you really want an attack buff for that one. It's going to be even better now. The second skill, the Setzer Prayer, I guess it's the one with the most changes. Increase healing revive potency by 25%, which is a total of 75% of the target's max HP. Rise user and target's bravery by 200% of user high brave. That's pretty good. Increase potency of Setzer Blessing, defense and bravery region by 10%. Grant to self magic attack cap 80%. What the fuck? 80% magic attack up, that's a lot. Change HP into HP plus, which raise your own bravery by 20% of user max rate before dealing HP damage. That's pretty interesting. 80% magic attack up means that she's going to hit pretty hard, I believe. Definitely. Given that you combine it with your other attack buff or maybe another character attack buff, and she's going to get a pretty good bravery hit there. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, she becomes a one-hit hard shaver. Yeah, that's pretty much it, which I guess will help her a lot overall, because usually the problem with these characters, like you see this crazy amount of like magic attack up or attack up buffs on these kind of more defensive characters, because they usually lack damage. But at some point you need to do damage in this game, and with the enemies growing stronger and stronger, these characters kind of get left behind. So that's why you see like these crazy buffs on her, so she will be able to reliably do damage at least. Interesting. I like that a lot. Let's move on. If I can see my screens here. Thank you so much for the link there. Moving on, we have Lenna. Now, Lenna is a character that I like, but it's not a character that I have in my roster, so definitely there are people that know much more about Lenna than me here, right? And but I think I gave my interpretation here. So Lenna is I set her up as an hybrid warden. So basically I put her in like 3 categories: Destroyer, Warden, and Disruptor. I don't know why there's a T in Disruptor, makes no sense. Disruptor. But Disruptor. That's because she has a great Eye Brave debuff, which is like 75%, which is really good. That's pretty much, I think that's the only debuff that she gets, or that she puts on the enemy, but it's really good, like, it's fucking good. She has a great heal and utility with a unique buff. Her unique buff is strong, like it's basically why this character is so good, even at 50-50, and that's why I think she is the only character here 50-50 that's in gold. Spoilers. Low max rate is another con. Yeah, I didn't know that. I wasn't sure about it, so that's definitely a good point there. I'm not too familiar with how much max brave she has, but that's definitely a good point. She caps a lot on buttering. Okay. So yeah, talking about the pros, You can adapt a pros. You can adapt the that you avoid completely debuffs. Yes, yeah, I was going to say that. I said basically great heal and utility. Yes, the utility is the fact that you avoid. I believe it's 100%, right? You just avoid debuffs. I think with your 35 CP weapon, it's just 100% avoidance on debuffs, which is insane, and it's really, really good. Yeah, that unique debuff that I don't remember, I think it's like Here Use Blessing or something like that. It's like a 20% heal on turn, HP heal, which is crazy, and complete avoidance of debuff. That's pretty good. I am not too familiar with how much damage she does, to be honest with you. So I said in the cons that she requires time to set up. That's pretty much true for all the Final Fantasy V characters. And I noticed that she really doesn't do a lot of damage before mastering the arrow barrage there. I think she does decent damage when you have the mastery there, but nothing crazy, right? You need an attack buff. Okay. So that we should put that on the cons as well. So maybe that you may need an attack buff. Known is the amount of damage dash. She does alright. Her damage is pretty alright. Okay. Do you allow me to spam for now a straw poll so we can note each character you showed so far and then pull a new straw poll for each new character? Yes, do that. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. I think, at least from the times I've seen her, I felt like her damage when she had the mastery was alright. Like, it wasn't nothing spectacular, but for a 50-50 character was alright. Yeah, the problem is mainly before that, when she has to set up, when she has to use the skill. I think she has to use the skill one time before mastery. With mastery is alright, okay. Other than that, I really cannot think about any other problems with Lenna. She does well in AoE situations because she has the barrage, even though it's kind of like, I believe it's random hits, right? So you have random hits, and I believe the Eye Brave debuff stack up with each hit on each enemy to a max of 75. So you may need a few hits if you have multiple enemies to get that debuff high. I'm not sure on this. I think it's like that. Which may be another con, maybe. Eye Brave debuff become important with self-charging enemy. Oh yeah, sure. I think the pros, like in Lenna's case, I think the pros greatly outweigh the cons, right? That's why she's gold, pretty much. Because even if she's not awoken, and she may not have the same stats as the other awoken characters, or the other effects and all of that, she still has this great unique buff and this great debuff that allows you to just do well, I guess. Even at 50-50, she can still be used in a lot of battles. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if someone, did anybody try to use Lenna in the Selphie EX? Because those, the two cats there puts a lot of debuffs and also hit pretty hard for HP. I used her to clear every single hard content in the game, yeah. And she's 50-50, so that shows you that, you know, even if we have awakenings and all of that, she can still do well. Selphie, Lenna, and Lilith to do the Selphie EX, wow. 10 out of 10 or Romage will kill us all. I used her in the battle in the last chapter, alright. Vote responsibly. Yeah. Alright. Okay, I think that's it for Lenna. That's it for Lenna. I think we all agree that she's pretty good. Moving on. We have Ram. So here's why. So I think Ram is honestly great, even maybe diamond tier in some situations. But we are talking specifically about Warden here, and I put Ram in like three different categories because she's such a unique character. So she's a specialist first of all. She's a specialist first of all because the biggest thing about Ram is not the fact that she can heal you, even though it's pretty good, but it's more about the fact that you can manipulate the turns of your team, right? And that's pretty unique. But we are talking Warden here, and so I kinda decided to tone it down a little bit because we are talking Warden. So pros, but yeah, she may be diamond in another category. I also put Enchanter on her because well, because I'm gonna tell you why right now. So pros is a great. Oh, let me change something. I need something a little bit more chill. Man, there's nothing chill here. Okay, Penelo's team feels good. Okay, she has a great max break buff, and I believe this is still the strongest max break buff in the game at 80% right now. It's single target, it's not AoE, but it's great. 80% is no joke. Which also means that she's a great enabler, which basically means that the fact that she puts up very good max brave and attack buffs as well, and speed, she can enable other characters that may need some help or some buffs to do well, that are just about to do very well but can't on their own. So that's why she's a great enabler as well. She has a good, or actually great, speed buff as well. She has a great utility in swap turns, and an exceptional single target heal, which is, I'm pretty sure it's the strongest in the game as well. Now, the thing is why I put her gold and not diamond. It's because on the Warden side of things, I think swap turns is best used aggressively, which would be an enchanter move pretty much. I mean the buffs that it gives you: speed, max brave, the attack buff that you get are all like offensive type of moves, right? I don't think anybody uses swap turns just to defend itself or to gain some brave and that's it, because you would just waste turns for no reason pretty much. Swap turns is always best when used offensively, right? At least in my opinion. And if you think about it, the only really Warden thing in her kit in the end is just the heal. I put her gold because she still does all of these things, but the only Warden thing is the heal, which is really, really good, but that's it. So for the Warden side of things, I put her gold. For another category, she may be diamond, so I kind of wanted to explain that. I think she's diamond. She gets used without any fails and the right setup. Yes, I agree. With a launcher, she's top tier. Yes, the fact that you can set up launches whichever way you want is great. I think she's great with launchers. And yes, the cons here, for at least for me, for Ram, is that she need an attack buff to be very effective. The attack buff that she gets with the heal is 40%, which is pretty good, but it's not the strongest in the game. I believe the strongest attack buff is still Suds with 60%. So, but it's enough to make her feel better, because pretty much everything in Ram's kit scales with attack. I believe the bravery gain scales with attack. You do more damage with brave plus. Not with brave plus, with your bravery attack with more attack and all of that. So she doesn't do a crazy amount of damage, but with an attack buff she does enough damage to be able to break an enemy here and there and make her feel good about, you know, attacking normally too. But she kinda need that attack buff to be that effective. And swap turns, the problem with swap turns is that you have to use it well on harder fights, otherwise it will just result in turn loss pretty much. And we all know that losing turns in the highest, you know, in the harder difficulty, in the most difficult fight is not good. So I honestly cleared up a lot of very hard of the harder fights or EX fight with RAM. But yeah, you can definitely end up wasting turns and just getting a lower score in the end. So I think that's those are her main problems. But like we said, the all the pros are pretty much great and heavily outshines the cons here, in my opinion. Her HP plus gives her a really good way to dump her bravery. Yes, true. That's absolutely true. Usually with characters, and not to mention that she reaches a very high brave herself with swap turns, not only the others. So when you then use the HP plus, you end up being a very potent brave battery as well, not just with swap turns but also with HP plus. Which is another very strong point, definitely. There's the straw poll for RAM as well. Thank you, Kuran. But I cannot think of anything else for RAM. I think she was meh before the awakening, but her awakening made her so good. Even without 15 CP weapon like me, you absolutely don't need that. Actually, even if you have that, you might just take it out, because the single target heal for RAM is so strong that you can pretty much heal from 0 to 100% anybody, even without that weapon. I much rather have the alternate 15 CP weapon, which at least gives her another offensive option, which can be good in various fights, because it changes your attack to melee to magical and with an ice element. So it's pretty niche, but I would take that over the regular 15 CP weapon anytime. Yeah, her EX, I don't remember right now what she does with her EX, but I think it's pretty good. Definitely. Who's the troll voted 1 for Hope? I basically cleared all the hard content using RAM and Noctis with her single 35 no 15, yes. Other con would be that you have to depend on swap turns for her. Cure isn't always needed. Yes, I can see that, definitely. Yeah, she's kinda... Yeah, I agree with that, in a sense that you kinda have to use swap turns. You don't want to chain too many swap turns, otherwise you just fill up all your brave and kinda lose all the ability uses. But you kinda want to keep a nice flow to how many swap turns you do, because otherwise you are kinda like you're doing nothing pretty much, right? So I definitely agree with that, yes. Her EX gives her free ability usage. Oh wow. Her EX lets her do great DPS and abuse swap turns. Nice. Well, that's the best thing for her then. Definitely, I believe she's going to diamond rank in my case here once she gets that. And will I pull for that thing? God only knows. Will I get that? God only knows. All right. Any other things that you guys want to add for RAM? Do you have any other things that you that we are missing? I think we said pretty much everything here for good old RAM. So I'd say let's move on. With high quality production, we have a nice Seamless transition here. Tutor student, alright. I don't have her way, so I can't really speak for her. Alright. So we move on to Eiko. Eiko. Do you remember the Eiko times where Eiko was basically everywhere and was good in every fight, always? I remember those. I think Eiko was diamond tier for a while, right? Yeah, it's that character. Now, of course, time have changed a little bit, and she's still 50-50, of course. But the identity of her character is pretty straightforward, and I think it's easy to grasp. And she can still do some things very well, I think, overall. She was diamond for a good while, ever since her 35 CP. Eiko was amazing. I got her near the end of the meta, but helped me clear rot. Yes, I would say Eiko is really good, but she's outdated. Yeah, that's the main problem with Eiko, is she had her time to shine. Like, she was definitely like diamond tier a while back, not too long back. Like, I think like this past, well, around this past summer, I guess. But yeah, right now she's a little bit outdated. She needs her awakening. I don't know how strong she will be with her awakening, but for me, I don't play Eiko, honestly, so those are just my interpretation. Feel free to discuss it. So for the pros, she works well versus the holy weakness for an enemy, and I mean that, like, you really want the holy weakness on an enemy. Because, I mean, she's fine if she is, you know, for neutral damage. But if you have the holy weakness on an enemy, you really, like, she's just that much better. Good AoE HP regen. It's decent. I believe it's the same HP regen as Zac. Yeah, like the percentage, like 8% or something. Which is decent. It's not too bad and lasts a long time, so... that's a good pro there for Eiko, and she rewards offensive playstyle because basically you gain you have a battery. She battery everybody else with the use of smite, which is an offensive ability pretty much. So she rewards offensive play, which is good because, like we said, the problem with wardens is that sometimes they do not have an offensive, like real offensive capability. Let me read stuff here. She needs the awakening. Her death was on Lenna EX. Pretty sure her awakening is just bigger numbers on both skills. Her HP attack. Okay. Lenna EX was the end game. It's not super high HP regen, but it lasts so long. Yes. Yeah, it's definitely not super hard. Super high. Sorry. But it lasts for a very long time, which we should probably say that she does well. She does well. The region does well for longer fights. But Smite, I think it's not that good for longer fights. I'd like to have a second chance at Lenna EX with the roster I have right now. So for cons, the opposite. She's not great versus Holy Resistance. Actually, she's pretty much terrible if someone is resist Holy, clearly, because her only offensive ability and the ability that give your team battery is based on its damage. So if an enemy resists Holy, you're pretty much screwed. You do less damage and you have less battery. So that one can be a pro or a con depending on the situation. Yeah, I also, like, I'm not super sure on this, but from what I can remember, she kinda ran out of steam on very long fights, because I remember more than one time like people running out of smites pretty early. Now that might just be the player not managing the turns correctly, but it could also just be that she's not great on longer fights, because you kinda want to use smite as much as possible. And I don't know how many users you have on that, but I think that can be a pretty big con, I guess. We'll fight 2 drakes on our lost chapter, please. No, please no. And yeah, on Sephiroth EX you had to manage your smites very well. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, that was my impression as well. Smiting for boss, they played bad there, Eiko. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, or maybe it's a combination of both. And all of that to me round up to a silver. I don't think she does the numbers anymore to be gold tier. I'm not sure, unless maybe an enemy is, unless maybe the enemy is weak to holy, then maybe she can be maybe gold tier. I don't know. Otherwise, she's probably just silver, mainly because she needs an awakening. She's a very old character now, so yeah, she just needs some love, but she's good to go. She has a strong identity and she's fine. Anything else that you want to add, guys? Another con is her main battery, depending on hitting rather than generating. Later HP regen will just HP attack. Okay. She fell once. Defenses rose. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think that's a I think that's a pro and a con at the same time. Because I feel like for characters like this, it's good overall to have an offensive capability like Smite. But the fact that, like you said, that you kinda depend, everything in her kit depends on if you land this Smite or not. If you can't use that Smite correctly, she's pretty much useless. So that's true. I should probably put that in the cons too. So it's both a pro and a con. She's too old to be gold. Those times where you use brave HP attacks only for the first 4 waves. Shatoto can inflict early imperil. Too old. Awakening turns bravery attacks into a mini smite from what I can tell, so she should improve longevity. I definitely agree. Definitely agree. I don't know when she will get her. She just has a lot of attack stat. Or a low attack stat, okay. Yeah, I guess. Probably because she's kind of just outdated pretty much. But I mean, we can all agree on the fact that she had a diamond tier time back in the day, so right now she's a little bit lower. Okay, let's move on. Thanks to the power of technology, we will move on to another character that I definitely am not too familiar with, and that is Y'shtola. Now, I have a hard time, honestly. I think Y'shtola was the hardest one here to put on this tier list. Like, I was pretty sure about the fact that she's good, but I couldn't exactly pinpoint the pros and the cons. So help me out on this one. She's diamond, all right. For me, she's gold. Now, but like I said, I'm not too familiar with her, so help me out here. So for me, from what I've seen, these pros are a decent utility in stone, nothing incredible but decent, and a great AoE brave gain that can be exceptional in summon phases. So I think the brave gain of Y'shtola is the best thing, probably one of the best in the entire game, especially in summon phases. But I couldn't think too much about the cons. Like, she's pretty, I feel like she's pretty somewhat generic, in a sense that she has this attack that delay a little bit, so you do that, and then you have the brave heal and you do that, but she doesn't have like a strong theme or archetype, I think, into her. I may be wrong, it's just my impression. And for me, the cons is that you need their EX to gain an HP heal and max brave buff, which basically means I believe Y'shtola doesn't give max brave, right? So she can only raise your brave, but can't raise your max brave. So you probably need someone else to do that. I don't have either of her weapons, but when carrying her on Awakening Batch 1, stone delays help it a lot. Yeah, I don't. Is it like a 1 turn or 2 turns delay? I don't remember right now. I think she's definitely a Warden, because I feel like everything she does is like, I feel like her design is more defensive than offensive. Even Stone, I don't know how much damage Stone does, but it's more about the utility in it, more than just the raw damage, right? And the Brave Battery is usually used, can be used defensively as well. She's not as bad. Oh, I don't think she's bad at all. I don't think she's bad at all, but I don't think she's Diamond tier either. She's like really good, but I cannot pinpoint exactly what are like her pros and her cons. I don't know if you guys have better ideas here. I think it's 2 if you get a break. I forgot a con. You need her bravery to be high amount to use her. Yes, that's true, but that's why, like, I could put that in a con. I just put that in a pros, in the fact that if you have high bravery, it can be exceptional in summon phases. That's basically what I wanted to say right there. But yeah, you need a good amount of bravery to use her. She does give max brave to party. Oh really? I didn't know, but it's only 20%. Okay, so it's kinda negligible. It's not too big. Even user sister carry. Excuse the poll name. What's the poll name? Wife Stola. Her EX should improve her a lot. Yes, I saw her EX has a lot of stuff into it. Like, if you play Ishtola, you want that EX. I don't remember exactly everything right now, but she gives her a heal, a revive, and a whole lot of other things. So you kind of want to try and get a DX if you are an Ishtola player for sure. I would say it's a con that she needs to be at max brave, so she can't do HP attacks. Yeah, that's probably true, because yes, overall, I think that's okay when you are in summon phases, because you can enable the others to do great damage. But outside summon phase, I agree with you, that can be a problem. Sometimes maybe you find yourself in situations where you have you are full of brave, but you kind of want to wait before dumping it because you want to use the brave gain on the others. So I think you're right on that one. Definitely. EX will make her low diamond. Her rework will make her really good. Okay. She can. Yeah, Onshadeo said the same thing. Yes. I don't need this pro. Cat girl con. Cat girls aren't real yet. I agree. She helped me in chapter 11 with her 15 only. Okay. Ishtola EX is incredibly slow, but it's so stacked with good stuff, yes. In summon I prefer UV or Lizard since her battery is based on their max rate. Lily 50% and UV is 20%. Okay. If her EX was faster it would be broken. Yeah, probably. I agree. But yeah, overall, I feel like she's kind of good all around for what she does. But I don't feel like she has that niche that... like she's more of general use. She doesn't really feel a niche, or she doesn't have anything too unique about it. I mean, the delay in Stone is pretty unique, but there are other characters that do it better. So yeah, I had a hard time kind of pinpointing exactly what is the identity for Ishtola, but I guess this is what we came up with, and maybe she will have a stronger identity with her rework or with her EX and all of that stuff. For now, I put her in gold. Maybe she was diamond when she was pretty much one of the few characters awoken, but you know that didn't last long. So yeah, she's good. She's good. So if you want to use Ishtola, she's good. That's why I put her in gold. Okay. With that said, let's move on to... Oh my god, this is taking longer than I thought. Let's move to Warrior of Light. So Warrior of Light, his main role for me is a Vanguard, but he has definitely Warden types of aspects to him, and it's kind of like the same reason for why I put Ram in like gold, because we are talking Warden here and not Vanguard as a whole. So what are the Warden things that Warrior of Light does? Because I think like as a Vanguard he's probably Diamond, but as a Warden he's probably a little bit less than that overall, considering everything. So exceptional tanking, which is not exactly a Warden thing, but still counts because he does that. Large bravery shield, good bravery HP damage with throw buckler, which is good for a Warden, we said, because sometimes they lack that offensive capability. Bravery gain depends on current bravery on the target, which is both a pro and a con. The cons is that he's pretty slow, and by pretty slow I mean definitely slow. I think his EX will give him a little bit of speed, and of course you can use other characters to boost his speed, so it's not that big of a deal. It can be so one thing that I noticed playing Warrior of Light, sometimes, not always, but sometimes depending on the fight, it can be hard to manage more shields at the same time. Happened to me sometimes that I wanted to shield everybody, but I kind of messed up with the turn count, so I had to maybe I forgot to reshield someone or something like that. That can happen if you keep up like 2 shields. That's not really a problem, but when you are keeping up like 3 shields at the same time, because maybe the enemy is going to do a very nasty bravery attack, AoE or stuff like that, it can be hard to manage 3 shields at the same time. And like we said, it's a pro but also a con that the bravery gain depends on the current brave on the target. So tanking wise, I think Warrior Light is great, but Warden wise, the things that you do are basically a brave battery, can be stupidly strong depending on how much bravery you have, especially in summon phase, and the bravery shield, which is also very it's very strong. With this awakening now, you can easily do like shields for like 7-8k damage outside of synergy. If you have someone that can buff your initial bravery, that's even stronger. So he synergizes well with a lot of characters because of this, synergizes well with other supports. Now he doesn't have... I would put in the cons, before the awakening I would put in the cons that he was super low on HP for being a tanky dude. Right now that's gone. He has enough HP now, so that's not too bad. And overall, the throw buckler isn't exactly a Warden thing, but it's really good for his tanking. But still I put him in gold as a Warden because the bravery shield and the bravery battery that he can give, not to mention that he redirects attack on him, so that's still protecting the others, are still really good. Like I clearly remember when it was synergy, no, I think it was on like, yeah, on summon phase I was like on Tancred event or something, or Tancred EX or something. I was using Warrior of Light, and during summon phase I gained like 12k bravery by using Shine Shield. Like that's a lot. So he's overall really good. I love this dude. He's pretty much Captain America of Dissidia, the OG FF1 dude. Do you have, guys, any other opinion, pros and cons for him? Let's hear from you. His EX will give him a speed buff, yes, which is nice. Oh yeah, he will also gain a healing on his EX, making him even more of a Warden, other than a tank. It's pretty much how a tank paladin is supposed to be, yes. Combining with Selphie and his shield is broken, yes, exactly. Combine anyone with Selphie to get this broken. Okay. I don't know, I couldn't think of anything else. I think he has a very simple but very effective niche. There are other tanks. He's maybe the most, you know, stereotypical tank. He puts on a shield, he absorbs damage, and he does pretty much tank things. Yeah, I think he heals the party with his EX, which is even more of a support thing. Because there are various different type of tanks. There aren't like an incredible amount of tanks in this game, but the few that we have are pretty much distinct in playstyle, which is a very good thing overall. So I think actually the tank role as a whole is one of the healthiest in the game because of this. But yeah, we are talking Warden here, so it's a different thing. Yeah, the way I rate my point of view on rating niche character is that if they are really good at their niche, they are at least gold. If they are exceptionally good at that niche, they may be even diamond. Because even if you don't have a super widespread use, if you are still super good at what you do, you're still good. 10% based of max brave without MLB EX, and I think 30% with it. Of max HP, yes. I think it's 20% with MLB EX. I may be wrong though. It's still pretty good. 30% is pretty high. I think he's the only lock character right now who has something to deal with AoE attacks, right? Well, Snow can AoE lock in one turn, and he deals pretty well with AoE attacks, I think. I mean, I may be not understanding the question correctly. Well, the fact that he can put shields on everybody, it's great for AoE attacks, yes. But you also need time to put shields on everybody, so it's not always possible to do that. Oh yeah, the buff evasion is good. But that's more for himself, it's not really for the others, right? So it's more of a selfish thing for tank. But yeah, Warrior of Light cannot AoE taunt. You need you need to do one throw buckler for each enemy. Push it on everybody. Yeah, I believe right now he's the only tank that can safely cover an AoE. Like, he can kinda nullify a AoE bravery attack, but you still need time to put the shields on, so it's not it's not something immediate. All right, so we can all agree that Warrior Light is a sexy man. Okay, 2 more to go. So next one is Yuna. Now, I'm not a Yuna expert, but I like her. She is gold for me. So the pros for her is that she has a good AoE bravery gain, pretty good AoE heal, and especially the best thing about Yuna is that she has great utility with Azuna. Now, her cons, I asked a bunch of people, and most seems to agree that she's overall good for what she does, but she has a few cons that can mess up your play a little bit. So her action delay can mess up your turn sequence. So I believe she has low action delay of one of her skills, or maybe both of her skills, I'm not sure. But I've seen this as well, where sometimes you kinda want to do something, but your turn, you want to set up something, but then you jump up in turn count and you need to invent something different. So definitely you can it can mess up your turn, that thing, unless maybe you are super experienced with her and you can understand where you'll end up every time with your turn count. And the other thing is that she's pretty much, she still has, even if she has an awakening, she has very low damage. I don't think she has a bravery plus or something like that, which means that, like we said, she can suffer from fights where you kind of need everybody to attack at least a little bit. I also have about 60, but never used her since. Oh wow, really? For what I've seen, I think she's good. I honestly think that of all the gold characters that we have, all the gold characters that we said so far. Wait, let me check. I can't find my. So, of all the gold characters that we said so far, which are Lenna, Warrior of Light, Ishtola, Yuna, Hope, and Rem, I think she may be on the lower spectrum of that. Because I think, like, while her AoE Brave Gain and AoE Heal is definitely good, it's not like it's not something exceptional, right? And the other thing in their kit is pretty much Azuna, which is a great ability, but it's pretty niche. So that's really good on some fights. For example, I'm pretty sure Yuna is great on the Selphie EX, right? She should be great. But on other fights, I think the other ones are probably better than her. That's my impression of it. And yeah, those cons are pretty big as well. So overall, it's I think gold, maybe lower spectrum of gold. Ripple other defensive support after Selphie. Depends, because you know, some, like, I feel like, for example, Hope is really good at what he does, and in some fight he can take over Selphie. But yeah, that's pretty. I guess it's kinda limited. We will get to Selphie in a bit. First chapter, never use Lenna, and later I tried it with Selphie. I don't even think Lenna is better than Yuna. I even think Lenna is better than Yuna. Wow. Well, Lenna is gold too. We put her on the gold side as well, so I think she's definitely on the same bracket for sure, and she's only 50-50. That's true. I don't know if Yuna is getting a rework. Her EX is amazing in my opinion, at least visually. Yeah, 100 debuff evasion is no joke. Yuna kinda allows you to avoid buffs, I mean debuffs too. I think it comes down to the mechanics of the fight, but yeah, Lenna can just straight up avoid it. I have both, and I can tell Lenna is really awesome. And she has some brave shaving compared to Yuna. Yes, I think that well, the bar steal and bravery gain that you get with Yuna are more, I guess it's just more than what you get with Lenna, but Lenna is much more offensive focused compared to Yuna. Yuna is purely defensive, kind of like Penelo. She still lacks a way to do something outside of their 2 skill, which is bad because she's an awoken character, so she doesn't get any help there. Then also saves your buffs from being knocked off. Oh, that's true. That's a very smart consideration there. I didn't think of that. Yeah, because with Lenna you just straight up avoid the debuff, so the debuff cannot touch you and you don't get your buffs pushed out, while with Lenna you have to wait the debuffs to hit you and then you can cleanse them, which means that you basically still lost your buff. So that's a very good consideration. So that, yeah, Yuna may be the lowest gold character that we have here. All in all considered, I think I have to agree with that. All right. I cannot think of any other things for Yuna. I think this is pretty much her identity. It's pretty simple. And yeah, that's it. Alright. If anybody else, if no one else has something to say about Yuna, we will move on to the last character in this tier list. Can Lenna summon a giant chicken? No, she can't. True. But, well, Yuna can't right now in global as well. So, and we go to the diamond tier, to the surprise of no one. Selphie, the latest character in global, and she was very much hyped up. I mean, so when I did the tier list, when I did this pros and cons thing for the characters, I could kind of see like at least all the characters had some cons and some pros, so that helped define their identities. And Hermad says, yeah, Hermad says that she has no brave shaving. Yes, I think that's a con as well, but I don't feel like that's a con exactly for her, because she does so much other stuff so good that I don't think it really matters at that point if you have low brave shape or not. Like, it's not like Penelo when you put two regens and you are useless then. Like, she does a lot of stuff. That's why she's diamond. But yeah, I agree with you. If you have to pinpoint something that she doesn't do damage. But that's for the best, because otherwise she would do like everything, right? I think she has a bravery plus. I'm not sure the percentage on that one. She does more than other wardens for sure, I'm pretty sure. I don't think her bravery plus is decent, because unlike Hope, she doesn't get a lot of attack buffs. Okay, that's fair. Well, anyway, so let me run down the list here. So she has a great offensive use of Drain to gain lots of HP and bravery, and this was actually disgusting on her own event when she was synergy. Like, the amount of damage and HP and bravery gain that you had from this thing was absolutely bonkers. But it's still super good even outside of synergy from what I've seen. I don't play Selphie, by the way, so I'm going on what I'm seeing. She has a pretty good bravery gain, AoE, a decent brave plus. She has an overall great defense with wall, with a reduced chance of debuff. So the great thing about wall is that it's generally good everywhere, right? Because unlike, here's the thing. So wall is like 30% reduction on incoming bravery damage, I think, which is like half of what Hope does. But the problem is that this one is good everywhere for anything, while Hope only does that and can be good only with that on fights that require a very strict protect and shell and all of that stuff. This is very generic and gives you a lot of brave as well. And I think that I think you can plug in Selphie in pretty much any composition, in pretty much any fight, and she would do well, right? I don't think you can have a bad fight for Selphie, pretty much.
Good job with the tier list, Maci.
Oh, thank you, Yompu. Thank you for the bits. Greatly appreciate, Maci. Thank you. She coined the phrase "booyaka," which is a con. I agree. Let me read a little bit. It is something to consider if you get another support on tier of Selphie, but they shave. Could be a reason to bring them instead of depending on the fight. Yes, I think, like I said with, for example, with Eiko, I said that she's like instead of putting a con saying that this one has no brave, I'd rather say on a pro, like I did with Eiko, that you can use this, like this support does damage, right? But I agree, like it's we are kind of talking the same thing, but yes, I agree. If you use Selphie with a buffer like Ash, the combo is just way too OP because all these stackable buffs. I didn't see that in it together, so I don't know, but probably true. Hope has 50% hidden with 58 and Woi and attack artifacts. Oh, you're talking attack, okay. Yeah, I think Hope has more attack and in general, right? Yes. I found her Brave Plus disappointing on her EX, but opinions, okay. Makes sense. I'm not too familiar with Selphie, so it's really my interpretation of it. You probably guys have a better idea. Most of you probably pulled on her and have a better idea of how she works. But honestly, this is to say that basically when I was really creating this tier list for the Warden class here, like I said, pretty much everybody else, I could see some cons that balance the character around, but Selphie is just like, okay, you can put maybe the fact that she has no brave shape, but she does so much stuff with the other stuff that it's like, it's not even close, like it's not comparable, right? The pros and the cons. So all in all, that result in a diamond tier, not really a surprise, I guess. Not really a surprise. Selphie Diamond, who could have thought that? With Selphie plus Ash, my Selphie does almost 5k brave damage with Brave Plus. She doesn't even need a shape. Yeah, I mean, you just probably leave that to another character on your team and she takes up the rest, right? And yeah, probably Diamond characters will have a lot of pros and almost 0 to none cons, which means that you will always, if you want to have the best composition, you'll probably just plug this character in any composition and it will do great, right? There isn't a composition where Selphie isn't good, there isn't a composition where Squall isn't good. Like, I cannot think of anything like that. So those characters, as of right now, of course that can change, but as of right now, those type of characters have like too many pros to be, they are pretty much in a league of their own. So, with all of that said, oh, I forgot to put something in here. Oh, let's put it now. Let me find one thing, one last picture. Here we go. So, with that said, the final verdicts for the Wardens, at least the subclasses that I call the Wardens. Let me put it on the right. Okay. The final verdict for these characters is basically that we have a lone bronze character in Penelo, 2 silver tier characters in Irit and Eiko, 6 gold characters in Ishtola, Lenna, Warrior of Light, Yuna, Rem and Hope, and the only diamond tier character here is Selphie, which overall tells us pretty much that most of the Wardens in the game are usable, which is a very good thing, right? 6 out of all of these, plus Selphie of course, are all in a very good state and can be used in one way or another. They can do well in fights, they have their maybe their niches, they might not always be good at everything, but they are generally good. And only 3 characters that are kinda off the radar right now, Irit and Eiko are still okay, are just outdated, they just need some love and they will get it. And the only character that is really just unfortunately bad all around right now is Penelo. So overall, I think the state of this class is pretty much highly in favor of, you know, it's healthy. Most of the characters have users pretty much.